stay there and be good.
Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped, and welcome to the long-awaited first drive of my new Audi S4. This is the B9 variant, the very latest model. And it's not really my first drive because we've done well over 1,000 miles in this car already. But with Christmas and other cars and other reviews to film, it's kind of taken me this long to finally bring you my first impressions of this car. And also, because of the very recent arrival of the Petrol pup, I actually don't have a great deal of time today to do the review because I'm puppy sitting and I'm on my own, so I can't really leave the dogs for very long. But I have got enough time to take you out on some of my favourite drives and favourite roads and just give you my first impressions of this car, because believe me, this is a very, very different car to my previous S4, the B8. So my plan with this video is to really talk to you about the difference in driving feel and driving dynamics of the B9 S4 compared with the previous B8. And then I'll do a separate video on the internal tech and some of the features of the cars. And also, there are some things in this car that I'm not that fond of and miss that this car doesn't have that my previous car had, but that's for a different video. This is all about driving. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the S4 and the engine layout, in my previous car, in fact, let's start right back at the very beginning, because the early variants of S4 had a V8 engine in them. And then they kind of went to V6s quite a while ago now. And then when my car came out, it was the upgraded V6, and it was a 3-litre V6 with a supercharger on it, producing around 333 horsepower. Super engine, loads of power, and really delivered it in a great way. And I kind of never really thought you'd ever want any more than that. Now when this car came out, the very, very big difference with this car, although it has a 3-litre V6, it's turbocharged. And also it's producing just a little bit more horsepower. It produces 354 horsepower. But the driving characteristics of it are very, very different. And I can summarize it in one word really, quick. This car feels so much quicker than my old one. It just has so much more low down grunt. It seems to rev through more, it pulls more, and it just gets you from stationary to going really, really quickly, much faster. And it really is a very different driving proposition, that's for sure. Now I've got the different drive modes on this car, which I didn't have in the old one. The old one pretty much you had drive and sport. This has got the ability to set up eco and dynamic, and I've got basically I've set that up into an individual setting, and I've put everything on dynamic. And one of the really nice things you can do is put the exhaust noise on dynamic. Now while this car doesn't have a sports exhaust fitted, the new engine characteristics coupled with the exhaust make this car far more noisy in a good way than my old car. The old S4 had a really nice engine tone, and it had the lovely farty noise I always used to call it on change-up. This thing just sounds gruff and growl and ready to go from the moment you push the start button. and when you start revving it through, it really does sound far, far better than the old car. Now, the one thing I was really quite worried about when we bought this car was the gearbox. My old S4 had the 7-speed dual clutch S-tronic box, and whilst most of the time we either drove it in drive or in sport, you could put it in manual, go to the paddles, and it was super responsive both on the upshifts and the downshifts. Now, one of the big things with the S and RS cars within Audi is this move from what Audi call the S-tronic box, which is a dual clutch, to their Tiptronic box, which is effectively a torque converter automatic gearbox. And my understanding of why they've done that is because their dual clutch box just wasn't able to deal with the torque and the power that they were wanting to put through it. And therefore, this car has the 8-speed torque converter auto box. And I was a bit worried. Now, all I need to say is my worries were unfounded. Even though I'd driven a few of the cars that have it, I drove the RS4 last year that has it, and they're very, very similar. You know, if you were on a test, if you drove them back to back and you didn't know what the gearboxes were, you would be hard pushed to tell the difference for the average driver. In drive mode, it's super smooth. It probably, for me, because it's not quite as intuitive, so as you go into a corner in drive mode, it doesn't change down for you, and sometimes you have that kick down as you accelerate out the corner. But you can just pull the selector back, stick it into drive, you get that's changed down straight away, and you just get a better response and a little bit more go. It holds onto the gears and so on. And it's exactly the same in this car. That is my favourite way of driving this car. It becomes really intuitive. And then you can go to the paddles like all of these modern day cars. You can either just grab a paddle, but what that'll do is if you don't touch the paddles after a while, it just drops back to full automatic. Or you can push to the gear selector to the left, then you're on full manual mode, and it will rev out. And basically, if I drop that down into third and into fourth, it will, even in manual mode, and this is the difference between this and something like the Giulia Quadrifoglio I drove the other week, which when you're in manual mode, it will just hit the rev limiter and stay there until you pull the upshift. This doesn't. Even in manual mode, if you hit the rev limiter, it'll change up for you. Kind of get that, and I quite like it. I know some people won't though. So my worries about the gearbox were unfounded. It's fantastic, and coupled with the new 3-litre V6 turbo, the performance this car has is just ace, and I'm so pleased with it. It's just such a step change. The poise this car has, the grip, the Quattro all-wheel drive system works brilliantly, especially on a day like today where the road's a little bit wet and greasy. And you know, there were a few comments that were put when I revealed this car as the replacement to the S4. A few people said, why on earth would you just get the same car again? And I do understand that. I understand that some people like a change in the garage every now and again, just a bit of difference. But honestly, we love the old S4 so much, and it broke our heart to replace it. And I have to say, which is really cool, is I've actually been contacted, the power of social media, contacted by the person who has bought our old S4. So I'm hoping, he's now living in Scotland, would you believe? I'm really hoping to get some pictures of it in its new home. But yeah, so when we changed the car, it was like, oh, you know, we love the old S4, but all I need to say is this is like the old S4 and then probably 30% better. It's that good. It really is that good. The noise it makes, the performance, the whole refinement levels of the car are just on another level, and I'm just so chuffed with it. Now, normally I do 0 to 60 tests as a consumer service, but on this occasion I'm doing it out of personal curiosity. I am dying to know what this car can get to 60 in. Now, I'm not going to engage launch control, and to be honest, comments below, I'm not even sure whether this car has it, but I'm just going to basically come to a stop and then stick my right foot in the carpet. So, nice 60 limit piece of road, nothing behind me. 3, 2, 1, go. Felt quite sprightly. Yeah, I'll have that. Yeah. I think with launch, and I know when I had the RS4, when that launched off the line, and I know people go, just put your left foot on the brake and your right foot on the accelerator and turn the traction control off. I'm sure I can do those things, but I haven't checked whether or not I can do that on this car. And unless you have launch control, if you start putting your left foot on the brake and your right foot holding it at 4,000 RPM, it does all kinds of nasty things to the car. So I will check to see whether this car has launch control, and then if it has, we'll come back on another video and we'll do that again. But now I know what you all want me to do. I think we need to just put this car through its paces a little bit and give it a bit of stick. Let's go. First thing is, the noise this thing makes is so much better than the old car. I'm on the paddles, full manual, and it's just got so much grip. It's so much faster than the old car. In fact, I'm struggling to kind of remember whether the RS4 was any faster. Clearly it is. It's got, you know, probably a good 100 horsepower more than this car, but honestly, this thing pulls so well. Oh man, I love this car. It's got so much road holding. The suspension's really quite compliant. I haven't got the dynamic suspension option in this car, so it's just kind of standard. I don't have any adjustability in it, but it's still so good. And you can get from A to B, the kind of point-to-point speed in this car is just brilliant. The other thing that you get in this, which won't come across on camera because it's not that loud, is when you change down, you do get some pops and bangs on the downshift, which you never got in the old S4. The old one did the farty noise on the way up, but not really anything on the way down. But this certainly does. Ah, look. We ended up at the Petrol hill climb. What a shame. And there's a complete hero going up it on a bike as well. Good lad. Here we go. Go on, son. Give it some stick. It's just really good, this car. Gearbox is so responsive, and as I said, I was a bit worried it wouldn't be, but what I find is the amount of torque when you change up, it's just got this real punch. See, there you go, that was a downshift, just a little bit tardy, but oh. Yeah, and you can kind of find yourself going down this type of lovely twisty road at far quicker speeds than you should. So there you go, a high-speed run in the new S4. Absolutely brilliant thing, this. I'm going to drop it back into normal auto just to have a chat about it. It's so much better than the old one, and yet from the outside the cars look quite similar, and because we got the black pack spec on this, you kind of got most of it's de-chromed. There were some comments about maybe getting the Audi badges on it de-chromed and blacked out. I'm going to look into that. But all in all, this isn't a car that I'm going to tinker with and do too much with. I'll probably look at getting some kind of paint protection, either a ceramic coating or PPF, because the old S4 did suffer from stone chips after a while. But all in all, yeah, we love this car. And those of you who watch the Petrol Pub collection video, Mrs. Petrol Pet does quite like driving this car too. In fact, I don't get to drive it very much. But yeah, there you go, guys. Happy to report the new S4 is awesome. I think it sounds great, it goes really well. This 3-litre turbo motor, and the other thing to say, I guess, as well, from a fuel economy point of view, they're pretty similar. We're getting If you push on, you're going to get sort of mid to high 20s. On a longer run, on a dual carriageway, you're going to get low 30s. 32, 33 is quite doable in this car. It all depends how heavy your right foot is and how much you want to push on. But it's not ridiculous. But hey, look, if you want a really fuel-efficient car, you don't buy an S or an RS model, do you? You go and buy a hybrid or a diesel or something. So yeah, all in all, that's good. But anyway, I know this has been a long time coming, but I hope you've enjoyed this short little video. As I said, I will do a film next to have a look round internally the differences. There are quite a lot of differences, not just within the tech, which is the obvious differences, things like virtual cockpit, but there are some differences in terms of some of the features on this car that my old car didn't have. And some things that this car doesn't have that my old car did. They're the really annoying ones. The joys of buying a car you didn't spec for yourself. But yeah, that video will be coming to you soon, but I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have done so, please give me a thumbs up. Comments below are always welcome, and if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to Petrol for plenty more content to come. And from my new B9 S4, I'll see you on the next film, guys, but you take care, drive safe. But there might just be a nice corner coming up, so I think we might just drop it back into manual mode, drop it down a couple of cogs, because we were cruising up in 8th, down into 4th, down into 3rd, give it the Yahoo. You gotta love this car. Anyway, guys, you take care. Oh, drive safe.